while the rain plays a melody. Everything that makes me think of you, wishing you were close to me. There is nothing that I'd rather do than waking up in the rain. I can't believe the joy it brings me. When it's stormy outside, it's calm in my heart, with you in my arms. And when you're away from me, I wish it would rain, 'cause it's always the same. Everything that makes me think of you, wishing you were close to me. There's nothing that I'd rather do than waking up in the rain. I can't believe the joy it brings me. I can't believe. All alone, I hear the rain on my window. On my window. Waking up in the rain, I can't believe the joy it brings me. Like in love. All alone, I hear the rain on my window. On my window, I hear the raindrops flow. Everything that makes me think of you, wishing you were close to me. There's nothing that I'd rather do than waking up in the rain. I can't believe the joy it brings me. Love, make me love. All alone, I hear the rain on my window. I hear it rain. In the rain, I can't believe the joy it brings me. All alone, I hear the rain, hear the rain. Oh, here comes the rain. Here comes the rain. Here comes the
How he makes her feel when he look her in her eyes and tell her.
Hello, it's 5 o'clock, and today you are going to be graced with a new show by the name of Live, Lizzy, Live. I'm Miss Lizzy, better known as Helen Wakefield. I am going to be your host for the next hour or so. And you're wondering, where in the world did this lady come from? Well, I am originally born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, and have lived all over the United States. And because of my journeys, I've been brought here to Omaha, Nebraska, formerly known as, I guess, some people called it the O, the big one. I guess it's the little big city. And for one of the reasons that I'm actually here, I am destined or predestined, if you will, to speak the word. I'll give you a little background about myself. Um, like I said, born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, south side of Chicago. When I was born in Chicago, Illinois, it was during the 60s. We are now celebrating Black History Month. And a lot of people have different, uh, I guess, views, if you will, on Black History Month. I even had a student the other day said that her instructor told her he doesn't believe in Black History Month. How could you not believe in your history or believe in a history? You know, different people, different strokes. But at any rate, I was born in the early 60s in Chicago, and during that time, my mother and father were very active in the civil rights movement. My aunt is Willie Barrow, and if you can Google her, she actually was responsible for training the freedom fighters. And I marched with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and was a part of Operation Basket, SCLC, the 9 yards. And one of the things that I remember about Chicago is, even though we were in a state of unrest, the parents were always in charge. You never saw them um, afraid. They never seemed to be worried. They were always in charge. And even though it was one of the worst times in our history, as a child, I never felt fear. Um, I can say only one time I felt a little uneasy, but I really never felt fear. Our parents were always protecting us, or either we didn't know what fear was. But at any rate, lived on the south side of Chicago for all of my life. When we first moved in the area that is now known as the Wild Hundreds, and I didn't know it as the Wild Hundreds. Somebody sent me something on Facebook and said they have a Facebook page or whatever you want to call it, and it's you know you're in the Wild Hundreds when, and I'm like, I have no clue, so I didn't even join it. But at any rate, one of the things that I remember is we were in an arena of the 60s that was a lot of unrest, but we were respectful of our parents. We didn't have the type of, um, I guess, hate, intra hate that a lot of the communities are experiencing, even in the Wild Hundreds. Um, One side of where I grew up is Vernon Avenue, and to the east would be Cottage Grove, and to the west would be King Drive, and then further up the hill, as we called it, was Michigan. People can't even walk to Cottage Grove or King Drive or up the hill, and those are just blocks away from each other because of the intra neighborhood, or hood, if you will, hate. People who mother and father lived next door to each other for the last 30, 40 years, the young people are killing each other, stumping each other down over. I really don't have a clue as to what it is. But at any rate, um, went on, graduated from Corliss High School. When I actually went to Corliss High School was brand spanking new. There was not even a senior class. Our rival, and when we said rival back in that day, it wasn't anything where people were going to break out either in West Side Story or either Guns and Roses, if you will. It was just that it was the school on the other side of the city, and that was Julian. And the most the most rivalry we had was during a football game or basketball game. So that's what we meant by our rival school. Graduated from Corliss High School. Prior to going to Corliss, actually was a part of what we called then the Principal Scholar Program. You said, what in the world is a Principal Scholar Program? Well, it was actually where the University of Chicago and the University of Illinois charted black children, because that's what we were called then, black children, based upon their Iowa Basic Skills Test. And that was a test we took every year, and we would have to sit and go through a series of questions regarding reading and math and science and the like. And maybe a month or so down the road, we would actually get our scores. And because I tested very well, I was asked to become one of the first, a part of this group of known as Principal Scholars, and they were charting us and making us and forming us into the first black engineers. Well, the last thing I wanted to do was be an engineer. And one of the things that I remember being in the room with my aunt Willie Barrow and even Dr. Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson, Ralph Abernathy, and some of the others, they would always ask the young children at that time when I was growing up, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? And I just remember the first time my aunt asked me, and it was, and I just remember there were a lot of faces around me. And during that time, mothers and fathers were always dressed up. You didn't know if it was church or not. Ladies always wore dresses. Men always had on some type of starched white shirt and blue or black suit, brown suit and a tie and some shiny shoes. That's what I remember. And my aunt is, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said I wanted to be an actress. And I was probably about 5 or 6 years old. You would have thought that I said I wanted to be a stripper, because that's the way they took it. What? An actress? You might as well be and this is what they said, a prostitute. And I was like, a prostitute? Tell you the truth, I didn't even know what a prostitute was, and I actually thought they said a patoot. And I was like, well, what in the world is a patoot? But at any rate, being that my mother was a librarian, they never defined anything for you. They would say, go look it up. And when I looked that up, I was like, oh, wow, okay. So I had to come up with something else. And that went on for a while. And I think the next time they asked me, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? I said, oh, Lord, I said a journalist. Well, that still wasn't good enough. I was like, good Lord, what can a person be? So they finally told me, they said, why don't you be something that you can help the community with? Give back to the community. Do something that's going to be worthwhile. And I'm thinking, what in the world is that going to be? And my aunt, Willie, said, why don't you be a lawyer? I said, a lawyer. Okay, fine, a lawyer. So even though I was charted and I was slotted and primmed and probed and molded to be one of the first black engineers through this Principal Scholars Program, I was actually going to be a lawyer. And the reason why my father thought that it was a good thing for me to have this education as an engineer was because he was extremely brilliant when it came to math and science, and he believed that you should embrace as much education as you can, that you should not be a aficionado, but you should be a dilettante. And you say, okay, so what's that? Well, an aficionado is a person that knows a lot about a few things, but a dilettante is a person that knows a portion, if you will, of information about a lot of different subjects. And so I prided myself on becoming a dilettante because I said, well, let's put it this way. If I know a little about a lot of things, I can always build on that information. And so, at any rate, wound up going on to law school. First of all, I went to Fisk University. Woo, woo, woo for Fisk. I know I have some Fiskites out there. And they're also getting ready to have their 30th um, reunion, I do believe, pretty soon. Went to Fisk for 2 years and actually graduated from Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland. Fisk is in Nashville, Tennessee. And returned home to Chicago for a short while and then went on to law school and graduated from Thurgood Marshall Law School. And I know some of you out there, even though it's not because it's Black History Month, but you notice the name of those particular um, educational entities as historically black colleges. And a lot of people have um, their feelings, just like they have their feelings, their opinions about celebration of Black History Month. They have their opinions and their views, if you will, on historically black colleges, or HBCs as we call them for short. One of the reasons why I chose to go to all HBCs was because I often sat in rooms with, in different venues with people that actually dogged historically black colleges. Oh, that's inferior. Ooh, you better go to an Ivy League big school, if you not gonna make it. They not teaching them nothing. And I've always been the person where when a person said that you can't or they're not, I always wanted to prove it differently. And even though I was chartered by the University of Chicago and University of Illinois, and I had a scholarship to MIT, I defected. I was never a child that ever had a spanking. I know you're like probably flipping your lid out there. I was never put on punishment, but my brothers would be down, and that's for the brothers. I know, whoop whoop. I know. But that's sort of what happened in the day. Children were severely disciplined, if you will, and it was actually something that they condoned from the pulpit. A lot of people, what was that? Spoil the ride, spoil the child, or spare the rod, spoil the child, something like that. But at any rate, I was never a part of that. But my brothers, they did suffer great discipline, if you will, at the hands of my father. But at any rate, I fell in love with Fisk University. I went on a tour during spring break and was given the opportunity to go to Howard University and Fisk University and see Spelman and Morehouse, and the history and the pride that I felt, and to know that Dr. Martin Luther King went to Morehouse, and just to be in the presence of such greatness walking through the halls. I knew it didn't matter what my parents said, even though I had never been punished, never ever deviated, never even thought of not obeying my parents. I knew I was going to Fisk University and graduating from a historically black college. And when it came time for me to go to school, actually my parents thought that I was on my way to Northwestern to with one of my buddies, but I actually defected and went to Fisk, and my parents were very upset. But it is what it is. Once you actually make a decision that you're going to go to college, it really should be your choice. And one thing that I would stress to my young brothers and sisters out there, regardless of what race, creed, color, origin, blah, 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 you are, that you should not choose to, I would say, disavow or disown your own heritage and your own culture. I don't care if it's Black History Month, or it's Breast Awareness Month, or whatever month it is. You have to embrace your history. You have to embrace your culture. When you deny who you are and your ancestors and your heritage, you are really going forward in a maze and a daze. Just as you have to embrace your ancestors and your culture, you have to embrace how you got here. And one of the reasons that I'm actually here today is is due to how over the course of my life I have actually come to recognize that not only am I, Helen Wakefield, born in Chicago, Illinois, not only am I a young lady that had the blessings of having a mother and a father that cared for me, and being raised during the 60s where I saw the struggle but never had to actually feel the sting of the struggle, and now I can look back and see some of the I would say advances that we've made. I'm not saying we're there yet, but there have been some marked improvements. I have lived long enough to actually um, give my heart to the Lord, and I am a born again Christian. I'm saved. I have accepted the Lord into my heart. Let Him live big in my life, and that wasn't always the case. I have only been walking this walk for the last 6 years, and really have not been all in, if you will, um, for, I would say, really 2 years. You say, what happened? What happened? I I guess I believed all my life that if you studied hard and you went to school and you did what you had to do, that was enough. My mother was a Christian, and we went to church when I was younger, but I didn't know it for myself. I didn't understand it for myself. And one of the things that I would do often when I was actually uh, in law, if you will, and I'm not going to talk a lot about my years as a lawyer or in that arena, because that's something behind me. But when I was in that particular arena, I was a nasty, 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 vile little person. And most attorneys, and I know I'm probably going to have my phone blown up from attorneys all over, they are. They're very vile and very hateful and very argumentative, and everything is a debate. And a lot of them are very, if you want to, say it, I'm just going to say it, they're snakes. They are. They're snakes. And that's sort of the nature of the business. And it begins to seep into your very soul and your fiber, because if you're in a pit, in a den of snakes, you become a serpent. And for a while, that's the way I lived. And it was dog eat dog. And I would call my mother. And often I would be very upset, and it would be something that didn't really make any sense to her, I'm sure. My mother was always a praying woman and a wonderful woman. And she would listen for so long, and then all of a sudden she would say, "Live, Lizzy, live." Hence the name of the show. Live, Lizzy, live. That's why I chose that particular name for this radio show I'm going to be doing for a while. That's if I am graced with your presence and you guys actually get something out of it. And I didn't understand what she meant. I had no clue. I'm like, well, mother, if you just don't want to talk, just say it. But that was always her response to me. And for whatever reason, those words that my mother would say, "Live, Lizzy, live," they would calm me, and it got me kind of, steadied on my feet, and I would just sort of forget whatever the drama I was trying to convey to her. And not until really about 3 years ago did I really understand what my mother meant by those words, "Live, Lizzy, live." July 14th of 2009, I got a call that my brother, John, who lived in Sioux City, Iowa, had been murdered. And John and I were probably as close as Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson. And we often joked with each other. I used to always tell John, yeah, you're Michael and I'm Janet. And I remember shortly before he died, it was maybe a week or so, well, before he was murdered, a week or two before, we were talking because Michael Jackson had passed. And I was like, yeah, John. I was like, wow, just think, you know, you were Michael and I was Janet. And he's like, hey. He's like, now you can be Michael. I'll be Janet. And so we laughed about that. But when I got that call, that was like, I mean, I remember when my father died, and that was a part of me just kind of, ugh. But when my brother John was murdered, I just, wow, I'm telling you, I just didn't know what to do, especially that later on I found out that his the murderer of my brother actually lives here in Omaha, Nebraska. Not only does the person live here in Omaha, Nebraska, my brother lived in Sioux City, Iowa. Not only does the person live here in Omaha, Nebraska, I actually found out the person's name, his address, and where his family resides here. And not only does he live in Omaha, Nebraska, he lives in North Omaha, Nebraska. And during the course of an event a couple of summers ago, when I found this out, a gentleman came to me and said, you know, you're such a nice lady and you do a lot in the community. If you would buy me a 6-pack of beer, I'll go kill him for you. Well, probably had I not given my heart to the Lord in 2007, and probably had I been the snake in the snake pit that I used to be a part of, that's the legal career, the legal field, I might have taken him up on it. But one thing that God does is that God heals. If nothing else, and you don't hear anything else out there in 1690, the one land, is that God heals. And the name for God is Rapha. As far as when they say the healer, they say he's El Shaddai, and they have all these other wonderful names for God. But God know that he is the original Rapha, Rapha. And we don't say rapper, we say Rapha. And know that. But he heals because I said no. And even though I know right now where this boy, a man, or whatever you want to call him, family live, there would be no way that I would ever take his life or even orchestrate any ill will against him, because God has truly come into my life and has healed me. So we're going to give you a little music, and I want you to be able to listen to this song. And this song is a combination of some of the music that I found that my brother John actually was, who knew he was a secret DJ. And part of the song is my brother, and part of the song is me, the spoken word, and then a friend of mine here in Omaha. And it's a tribute to my brother and his own little way.
Check, 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 check. This is a microphone check, check. This is a microphone check, check. This is a microphone check, check. Microphone check, check. Microphone check, check. You run, I kick, you bellow. You better off dead 6 feet below. If that's the way you say hello to these big baller gangsters that you meet.
I am fine in my mind.
I am, I am. I am, I am. I am, I am. I am, I am. I am, I am a fine. If only in my mind. Better get behind. I'll make another line. I'll make another line. I am, I am.
Get behind. I am fine in my mind.
I am a old. Yeah, I used to scold. Got some rolls and folds. But now I'm being sold. Now I'm being sold. I am, I am. I am, I am. I am, I am a fine. If only in my mind. Better get behind. I'll make another line. Make another line. I am, I am. I am, I am. I work a 9 to 5. Some people call it grind. Yeah, I see a smirk. Somebody gotta work. Somebody gotta work. I am, I am. I am, I am.
You see,
I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am.
because my God is there for me. He said I'm fine. Get behind.
My God is great. Oh, ye little faith. You think you can escape? You better call him now. Before he takes you down. 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 I am, I am. I am, I am. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. I am, I am. I am, I am. I am, I am a fine. Only in my mind. You better get behind. I'm making another line. Make another line. I am, I am. I am, I am. I am, I am a great. Oh, ye little fake. You think you can't escape? You better call him. You better call him now. Before he takes you down. Microphone. Check. Microphone. Check. Microphone. Check. Well, yes, that's I am. And the rapper that you heard in the beginning, that was my brother John, and that was his beats. And like I said, I found his music in his stash, and I decided to have a gentleman here help me kind of coordinate the beats for my brother along with my own spoken word, and then the vocals is none other than Nikki, the voice, my buddy. She is a wonderful lady, and hi, Nikki, somewhere out there in Omaha, Nebraska. One of the other things that I wanted to talk to you about is when you are going through a lot, and I know people out there, and probably this is this hour between 5 and 6, and we have some mothers that are getting off of work. We have children that are getting out of school from the after school program. And one of the reasons why I'm actually doing this program is that, and I'm really not the type of person that ever wanted to be a even though I wanted to be a journalist, I wanted to be behind the scenes, and I wanted to do those type of things in writing and all, but I never wanted to be this personality that's out there where you would see my face. And Will King, beautiful guy, 16, 90, the one, had a vision, met this young man some years ago, and I applaud him for what he's done. And I think it's a wonderful, beautiful thing. I mean, he's even now streaming live. And before he left, he said, hey, remember that you're streaming live. Don't do anything like pick your nose or whatever. And I'm thinking, oh, my face is going to be out there. So I'm like, oh, Lord, that's not something that I ever wanted. But at any rate, the reason why I'm doing this is because, like I said, I'm a born again Christian, saved, gave my heart to the Lord 2007. Didn't start walking big in Him until the last 2 years. What happened, it was like one of those hot summers, and I'm walking downtown, and an angel appeared to me. Appeared unto me. Yeah, I know. You're like, oh, here we go. Right, I do. I have visions. I have dreams. I've always had visions and dreams ever since I was 3 years old. There are several people that I know that I have called them and told them, if you do this, and this is going to happen. They didn't do it for 3 days, and then they did, and exactly the way I dreamt it, it happened. And my mother always told me that I had the gift of discernment. And now I know that I have visions and dreams, and I understand now that I am a prophet, you know. And so a lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, here we go." Well, it is what it is. No, I'm not gonna walk up to you, and there are different type of prophets, and say, "I'm prophesizing over you that whatever." No, that isn't it. That's not the way it goes. For me, as it is, different people, different ways in which the the Lord uses them. Mine is different. But what happened is that this I'm walking downtown, and this angel appears. The lady had on a silvery or type of goldish, pinkish kind of dress or whatever. And I remember it was so hot downtown, and this is downtown Omaha, and a coolness came upon me. And she says, "You're a missionary." And what was so odd about that is because just a couple of weeks before, I was, like, Lord, what am I? What is it? I know I've given my heart to the Lord. I'm going to church, and I'm being basically, I guess a good person. I'm reading my Bible, but what is it? What is it? What have you? What? Why do you have me here? And so all of a sudden, here we have this figure, and I can't say it was a lady or a man or whatever, but it was an angelic type of a figure that just bloom popped out right in front of me. I'm walking down Farnham, and I'm right across the street from the city hall in 1819 Farnham, and this vision says, beautiful coolness with this gown thing on. You're a missionary, and I said, thank you. Well, I looked back, and the vision, the angel, is gone. I'm talking poof, gone. So I said, wow, huh. So I go on about my business, and maybe like a couple of days later, it started wearing on me. Okay, I'm a missionary. Well, okay, I did a lot with abuse and neglected children, and I used to save children, actually rescue them from situations where they were being sexually abused, and I would carry a caseload of where I had children that were alive, and then those that were dead. I would have to sit through autopsies. I would actually respond to what they called priority one cases, where children were thrown in garbage cans and nobody knew their name, and I would have to not only deal with seeing the emergency squad rescue the child from the dumpster, or wherever the child had been dumped, but I would have to give the child a name and then sit through the autopsy. And everybody ever sat through an autopsy is loud and long, really loud. It's loud, like being in a construction zone. And then after, they would come out and they would tell me how the child had died. Then I would have to sign the death certificate and go to court and ask that this child be buried by the state of the great state of Illinois, because no one would ever appear on behalf of the child. If they did, what that meant. That meant we had a culprit, we had a defendant, as they say. But and what people don't know is that happens more often than not. And my heart has really been heavy about the children that are being sexually abused and physically abused. And I know that I have to speak out and I have to do something. Well, during that whole time that I was sort of of figuring out, wow, that angel appeared and, said, you're going to be a missionary. I started, sort of thinking about all of those cases that I had and all of those children that I had saved and all of those children that I had rescued and that I had done so much with. I mean, they started really like just, playing in my mind and say, okay, I'm a missionary. I'm a missionary. Yeah, I can handle that. I can handle being a missionary. Well, once I embraced that and I said, God, okay, what do you want me to do? That's when I went into what my sister, my spiritual sister in Tennessee called spiritual boot camp. Everything went screet. I couldn't buy a job. I could not I could barely get out of the house. My car was repossessed. I know I'm going to say it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because my testimony is being put out over the air for somebody to know that God has a purpose for you, and that before you were even born, God had a predestined reason as to why you're here. That some of you are out there and you're wondering, why am I doing this? Why am I doing drugs? Why am I in this no good relationship? Why am I just going to work? And you may be, I don't know, you might be the governor, you might be the mayor, you might be President Barack Obama. I don't know, listening to this program, Live, Lizzy, Live, and saying, this is not what I'm supposed to do. I'm good at it. Just like I told you, I could have been an engineer. I could have been gone on with my thing in law. I could have stayed and, doing a lot of different things. But it wasn't what I was predestined to be. It wasn't what God so destined me to be. And so when I was going through this spiritual boot camp and I accepted what that angel said to me, I said, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to pay rent. I don't know how I'm going to eat. But you know what, Lord? I'm going with this. I'm going with this. And that's when I surrendered all. And for the last year, well, going now on 2 years, I have been molded and I have been formed and I have been transformed by God. And during that time, I was never evicted. I never went hungry. My lights never was turned off. My phone never was turned off. I mean, there were some miracles in there. I mean, some real miracles came through. At the last moment, never had to go to court about my rent not being paid. Oh yeah, well, I had a couple 3-day notices like every month, but it never ever got to the point where I was displaced. Yeah, my car was repossessed, but that was God steadying me and saying, you know what, Helen, Miss Lizzy, live, Lizzy, live. You're going to be placed in a position where you can't move. Because, if you're mobile, you get up and go anywhere. I want you to hear me, and I want you to hear me good. This is what I want you to do. And what, out of all things in the world, what do you think God had me do? He told me to speak the word. I said, speak the word? What do you mean speak the word? And I started doing this Bible study during the boot camp. And Jeremiah 1:7 says, but the Lord said unto me, say not, I am a child, for those shall go to all that I shall send thee. And whatsoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. And I said, but I haven't, and this is what I'm saying to the Lord in my house, because, now I'm in there. I don't know enough of the Bible. I'm not a speaker. I'm not some great grand motivational person. And who's going to listen to me? And to tell you the truth, I was afraid. I mean, I went to church and I was a good enough person. I read my Bible, but going out there and speaking the word to people and witnessing, I said, I'm afraid. And then he goes on to say, be not afraid of their faces, for I am with thee to deliver thee, saith the Lord. And I was like, well, wow, well, what am I supposed to do? And then I started going on with my Bible study, and Jeremiah 1:17 says, but you, upon your feet and get dressed for work, stand up and say your piece. Say exactly what I tell you to say. Don't pull your punches or I'll pull you out of the lineup. And I was like, well, I don't want to do that. I mean, God, if you're going to use me, I'm ready. It says, stand at attention while I prepare you for your work. I'm making you as impregnable as as a castle, immovable as a steel post, solid as a concrete block wall. You're a one man or one woman defense system against this culture, against Judah's kings and prince, against the priests and local leaders. And I was like, okay, well, all right, send me. He said, they'll fight you, but they won't ever scratch you. I'll back you up every inch of the way. And after I went through that particular Bible study, and I mean, it went on for a while. I mean, God was waking me up at 1 in the morning. I couldn't hardly sleep. And then 3 o'clock in the morning. And then more digging into the scripture and more. And I was like, all right, then I got to go. I got to go. And I said, okay, Lord, what else? He says, tell them what I said. Listen to the terms of this covenant and carry them out. Listen to God. He said, I'm going to give you exactly what to say, Helen. And then I'm like, where am I going to say this here? And I went into prayer and fasting about that. And he said, you're going to say it everywhere and anywhere. You're going to say it on 1690, the one. I was like, what? Yeah, here I am. Live, Lizzy, live. Imagine that. And I said, well, God, my first show, I have no clue what I'm going to say. And I didn't know what I was going to say. I said, what is it? He said, this is the message for the family. This is the message that I want you to give on the first show on 1690 a.m., the one. I want you on the show that is Live, Lizzy, Live, because that's the name of the show, because now you're going to live. All that your mother was telling you was that, you know what? Live, Lizzy, live. Don't walk in the footsteps of anybody. Don't walk under the shadows of anybody. Don't walk under the curses of anybody. There's so many of you all out there that people have told you, you ain't nothing, you ain't gonna be nothing. Your daddy wasn't nothing, your mama won't nothing, you ain't nothing. I ain't nothing, the world ain't nothing. They're a lie. They're a lie. You are. God didn't make any mess. God didn't make any trash. You are great. You are wonderful. You are here for a purpose. Step into your purpose and live. If your name is Daniel, live, Daniel, live. If your name is Shaniqua, live, Shaniqua, live. If your name is Robert, live, Robert, live. Live, Tony, live. Live, Linda, live. Live, Jonathan, live. Live, James, live. Live, Kimberly, live. Live, Terrence, live. Live, live, live. That means you stop where you are now. That it's as easy as saying, God, you know what? I'm tired of where I am. Whatever you have for me, I'm ready, I'm willing, and I'm going to live. All of these young people out here, I sit in this 1690 AM radio station, and I speak life. I speak life to the north of me. I speak life to the south of me. I speak life to the east of me. I speak life to the west of me. I speak life. I speak life to North Omaha. I speak life. You are going to live. You will not die. We are not going to be in another year of walking in death. They got some show out there calling The Walking Dead. That is a lie. We are not the walking dead. We are the living. We are the living. And you embrace that, and you don't let anybody tell you differently. But the first message that I'm to deliver to the parents is, if God doesn't build the house, the builders only build shacks. If God doesn't guard the city, the night watchman might as well nap. It's useless to rise early, go to bed late, and work your worried fingers to the bone. Don't you know he enjoys giving rest to those he loves? Don't you see that children are God's best gifts? The fruits of the womb is his generous legacy. Like a warrior's fistful of arrows are the children of a vigorous youth. Oh, how blessed are you, parents, with your quivers full of children. And what quivers are, those like little holders of the arrows. You know how they show the people that shoot the bow and arrows, and they have all the arrows in this sort of pouch. That's the quivers. You're blessed, parents, and know that you have to stand up. You have to be the one. The scripture goes on to says, your enemies don't stand a chance against you. You'll sweep them right off your doorstep, which means, parents, you can no longer hide in your rooms and allow your children to just go out and do whatever. You can't just be complacent with, well, that's just the way it is. You have to stand up. You have the power. The scriptures tell you all you have to do, you're blessed. You have your children. You have to take back. Just like in the day, nothing's different than in the day. It's just that our parents, they stood up. They wouldn't take anything. They wasn't taking anything. Nobody was taking down their babies. And I don't mean that craziness going up to the school because your daughter has on a pair of booty shorts or got luscious on the back of her pants, and the school says she can't wear them, and you want to go up to the school and fight the principal. I bought them pants is for her. That's what she gonna wear. Not that foolishness. I'm talking about fight for your children's lives. Fight and stop this nonsense about, she acting white because she wants education or whatever. Change your mindset. Understand that you're destined for greatness, and don't accept anything less. And children, I have something for you too. One of the things that you have to stop is that you don't have the right to dishonor your mother and father. And one of the reasons why everything is going crazy now is because we have not followed scripture. We have not followed the word. And I know a lot of you all are like, who in the world does she think she is? Live, Lizzy, live. That's who I am. But because you have not honored your fathers and your mother, and if you read scripture, if you do not, the only thing that can happen is death. And the only way in which you can circumvent that is that you have to choose life. One of the things that I want to let you all know is that I have a lot of faith in our community. I have a lot of faith in our parents. I have faith in our children. And one thing that we have to know is that faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. I'm going to end really quickly with a story about faith. And hopefully you'll take this with you, and you will, as a parent and children out there in 1690 AM, the one, will listen to this little story, maybe play it in your mind and say, wow, things aren't as bad as they seem, and that I do have to embrace something higher than I, and for me is Jesus Christ. That's my savior. That's my one. That's where I am. But I had a young friend, and she had a baby. Well, she wasn't. She was. I was younger. She was a little bit older, and she had a baby, and her baby had soft cell syndrome. She had all types of illnesses, and the baby wasn't supposed to live past a couple of days old. And this particular friend of mine named Tony, she nursed that baby and nursed that baby and nursed that baby. Well, what happened is that, and it was some years ago, and it was during a time where there was a murder on the East Coast, and it was an au pair. This is the lady who is like a nanny, and she actually murdered this rich couple's child. Well, Tony lived in Chicago, Illinois, and during that same time of that trial, and it was all on court TV, Tony's baby died. And when they did the autopsy of Tony's baby, they saw multiple skull fractures and everything. But mind you, the baby had soft shell syndrome, and she had gone through a lot. Well, the prosecutor in Chicago, Illinois, decided to actually levy charges against Tony for murder. And the au pair on the East Coast actually was convicted. And here we are in Chicago, a black lady who was a teacher who actually had a little bitty child, and the baby was supposed to die at just months or whatever old. The child actually lived to 9 years old, but here she is dead during the same time as this high profile case. So we're going back and forth to court, and there was a particular judge named Judge Eugene Pincham, who was a very prominent judge in Chicago, Illinois, and he actually came out of retirement to be her attorney. And so all of the church, and I wasn't going to church then, but her church came to the courthouse down there in Chicago, Cook County, Illinois. And Judge Pincham stood there and he argued and he argued, her case. And didn't matter. They paraded all types of doctors on the stand that said she had murdered the child. We had doctors on the stand that said that the baby had soft shell syndrome and this, that, and the other, and the baby should have died before. But at any rate, I'm sitting there, and remind you, at that point in time, I wasn't anywhere in the church, and I was, had the law brain on, so you know how that is. I was like, oh, she's going down. She's going down. She's going down. Tony's going down. Well, here we go. The jury comes back, and the jury says, guilty, murder. And Tony is there, and they were going to remand Tony to custody. And Tony, let me describe her for you. She's was 6'1", about just shy of 300 pounds, very dark-skinned lady, and beautiful long black hair that had curls that bounced when she walked. And it was her hair, it wasn't weave. And so Judge Pincham stands up because they were going to remand her to custody, and the judge says, she's going to be remanded to custody. And Judge Pincham says no. And he says, we ask that she be allowed to be out on her own recognizance, and then we come back for sentencing. And the judge says, what collateral has she? And Judge Pincham says, she has me. Well, Judge Pincham had actually been the mentor for this judge. So he said, okay, you can allow her to go on, and when sentencing in 2 months comes about, make sure she comes back. So Tony walks out of the court. I look at her, I'm bawling, because I'm like, you might have walked out today, but you going down. You going down. And so Tony looks at me, and she said, Faith, Helen, Faith. I'm like, Faith, my foot, you going down. Okay, 2 months later, we come back. There's Tony, and I mean, there are all kinds of judges. The judges are standing up there, and so he's coming back and forth on the bench, walking back and forth on the bench, walking back. And I'm like, where's the jury? I'm looking for the jury. There's no jury there. I don't understand why the jury wasn't there. But the judge, the first thing is that he's sweating, bullets. He's got on this big robe. Then he starts unzipping the robe, and I'm like, she going down. She going down. The church people, they're on one side. I'm on the other side. They clapping. Ooh, ooh. They told them to shut up. And I was like, yep, because she going down. Tony is sitting on the witness stand, and all of the state troopers, these Illinois state troopers, they're fierce. If you're from Chicago, or you've been in Illinois, and they got their guns drawn. They're standing around her. So the judge comes out the first time, and they say, all rise, we stand. And he's standing there, he's like, he leaves out. They said, be seated. We sit down. I'm like, oh, she going down. She going way down. Because she could have gotten like somewhere around 35 years to life. I'm like, she going down. Second time, all rise, judge comes back. Now this time, he doesn't even have the robe. He had the robe on before, and it was all open. This time, he doesn't even have the robe on. And I mean, he's looking really pale. He's just sweaty. His hair is all matted to his head. And he's like, and he leaves again. And they say, oh, sit down. I'm like, what? I said, she get life. She get life. Girlfriend going down, going down. Third time, judge comes out. All rise. The judge said, in N-O-V. And I was like, not on the verdict. Judgment notwithstanding the verdict. And then the judge leaves out. And so the guards are standing there looking crazy. I know what he meant. He meant that there was no evidence to convict this lady, and she was going free. And I was told in law school, if you ever see a judgment not on the verdict, where a judge overrides a jury, you are one blessed person. And I knew I was blessed then. But I'm looking, and there's Tony. And Judge Pincham does his hands like part the Red Sea. The Illinois State Troopers part the Red Sea, and Tony, this dark-skinned, beautiful, angelic woman about just shy of 300 pounds with this glistening black long hair with these bouncing curls, walks down and out of that courtroom. And right before she left out, I was sitting on the last, right there on the last bench, and I'm just like, I can barely breathe. And she looks down at me and she says, "Faith, Helen, faith." And that's what I want you all to have. So remember, live, Lizzy, live. And have a wonderful, wonderful week. Goodbye.